Hey everybody, Mike from the Focus Garage coming at you here, and we're just going to hit you with a little bit of a garage update as far as what's been going on with the motorcycles in my fleet and the car in my fleet here, and just kind of what I plan to do moving into the season here. So we're going to jump this one right off into the beginning here, talking about this, the Yamaha FZ1. So as far as what's been happening on this motorcycle is we finally got some new tires on it. Now, when I bought this bike back in February, the tires had decent life left on them, but they were a little bit older and I don't really care for that. They were also mismatched. I had Pirelli Angel GTs in the front and then something different in the rear, and the rear tire was pretty squared off. So what I went ahead and did is I pulled these wheels off myself, both front and rear, and took them to get tires mounted on them. The tires I went with, Dunlop Q3 Plus tires. Now, when choosing tires on a motorcycle, you have a lot of different choices as far as what's going to be a good fit for you. With this bike, since it is a secondary bike, I do a lot of more spirited kind of curvy riding with this. It's not so much of a commuter as it is more of a bike that's meant to be ridden spiritedly. So I wasn't super focused on something that's very, very long range. That's going to be more for the Harley over there. I wanted something that was actually going to be, stickier, have more aggressive lean angles, and just more feeling. Which is exactly why I settled on the Q3 Plus. This tire is going to be a tire that you can still, drive to and from the twisties on, but it's going to give you great feeling and, road feel and lean and aggression, everything like that when you're in the twisties. I've seen reports of people getting anywhere from 3,000 to 6,000 miles on these tires, depending on what you run for pressures. I've only done 10 to 15 miles so far. I'm just starting to get them scrubbed in to see what they feel like. So I'll report back how these feel once I get some miles on them. But so far, I really love the way they look with the tread pattern here. And I can't wait to give them a shot. The bike feels absolutely transformed now that it just has two matching tires on it. So I'm very, very happy with that. And we'll see how they go. Pulling the wheels off did give me a chance to torque check a bunch of different bolts on the motorcycle. I got to check the brake caliper bolts, the axle bolt, the sprocket bolt in the rear, everything like that, and got to see to make sure everything is the way it's supposed to be. As far as that, that bike's got fresh fluid. It's ready to go for the rest of the season here, and I'll let you know any other changes that may happen with this bike. But outside of routine maintenance, I don't think there's going to be much more that I'm going to do on this bike. Something else that I did is I took the whole front fairing apart here, and I worked on a vibration issue. I guess a very, very common issue with these motorcycles is the way this gauge cluster mounts. You also have this little plastic triangle piece, and there's this little spot, not so much on my fairing because I've got this little speed screen, but there is a vent underneath here depending on what type of windscreen you have, and that can cause a pressure in here to cause your gauge cluster to rattle and this little plastic trim piece here to rattle. So I was facing those weren't mounted entirely tight, so I did add some washers to make sure this is tight now, it doesn't wobble, and I put some felt strips where this mounts so this can't rattle. I also torque checked the handlebar bolts. Those are a little bit loose, so now those are tighter and ready to go there. And then where the horn, you can see down here, mounts to the bracket, it was actually rubbing my fairing support, so I kind of bent that back into shape, and now that's in a position where it's not going to be making noise across the motorcycle anymore. So changed some of those things around there, made the bike a little bit more enjoyable to ride. Again, kind of detail that you can see here, the paint's looking pretty blue, ebony. But yeah, detailed it up, had the wheels off, had a good chance to clean everything up there. So bike's looking great. Brake pads are in good shape, everything like that. And now the bike's a lot more enjoyable without that buzz. That rattle was kind of happening from 3,500, 4,000 RPMs to about 7,000 RPMs. So right in your meat of your cruising range when you're just coasting down the road. So wasn't the biggest fan of that. Was able to get that squared away, and so far, so good. So that's going to pretty much wrap up the Yamaha. We're going to go and check out the bigger bike now. As far as what's been happening on the Harley, well, I just finished an 800-mile, 2-day trip on this thing, and let me tell you, if I didn't like the bike before, I absolutely love it now. So this bike absolutely was perfect for the trip. We're going to have a video to follow this where Onder, me, and a few other people went up to Door County, Wisconsin to attack some of the roads up there, check out the scenery and everything like that, and this bike did a phenomenal job. I'm telling you, it was really, really neat to be able to test this bike in its atmosphere and in its element. Like I said, it was 800 miles in 2 days, so about 400 miles a day, and it was amazing to be able to just throw my feet up on the highway pegs, click the cruise control and just coast at 70, 80 miles an hour down the highway. Had the wind protection of this nice size windscreen and the frame mounted fairing there. Just a comfortable seat, the comfortable seating position. The bike was absolutely incredible. It plowed down the miles like nothing. You've got, your saddlebags, you've got your tour pack, to where I didn't have to wear a backpack. I was able to overpack my stuff, pack spare shoes, pack, drinks, snacks. We did a beer run at a local Walmart, and everything fit right there in the top case on the bike. And it was absolutely incredible. I didn't have the fuel range anxiety that a lot of people I was riding with had, because I've got the larger tank on that bike, and it was great. I've liked the bike before this trip, but now I really, really love the thing because I got to test it in the way that it was meant to be ridden. It handled everything great. Obviously, one of the weak spots, I would say, and a lot of people complain about with these motorcycles, is the suspension. I did find myself on a lot of the rougher roads in the Milwaukee area where the suspension would bottom out or it'd be a little bit harsh, which again, it's fine. Really, the only thing that I felt that was compromised with this bike was aggression in the twisties, which again, it's a 900-pound touring bike. That's fine. Totally worth it in the comfort that you gain in the rest of the trip. This bike, again, was just able to plow down the miles, no fatigue. People are out there getting beat up by the wind, getting beat up by the roads, the speeds we were riding at. We had one guy out there with a Sportster with us, an 883, and again, if anyone's ridden a Sportster, especially the 883s, those bikes are not enjoyable above 70 miles an hour, so we were doing 80, 85, and, he took it, no problem. But this bike, like no one's business, man. I'm telling you, that giant fairing and, the larger touring chassis and frame just makes it so doable, so enjoyable. And again, you're going to see the follow-up video with that where we actually show you some of the roads. We got some riding clips, threw some GoPros on the motorcycles out there to kind of show you what it looks like. But again, 800 miles, the bike did it without so much of a hiccup, no problems whatsoever. It's comfortable, everything electronically worked on it, and I did just clean it up. I'll throw a picture in here of what the whole it's a little foggy in here, right? Not foggy, but you can see it's not perfectly clean. Got to finish drying it up here, but this thing was absolutely mutilated with bug guts before I was able to clean it. So I'll show you what it looked like before, after 800 miles of just being out there. It was interesting. We got to drive through some thicker fog. Got to see some really cool sights, some really cool roads. We'll throw up some of the pictures right after this clip, and on to the next thing. The last item I want to cover is the GTI. Since you guys last saw it here, I don't know if we had it on the summer set or not, but we do. We've got it on the summer wheels now. We've got the EQT Stage 2 tune, and then we've got plugs coming in for the vehicle. A lot of people ripped me apart in the last vehicle saying that I can't be running a Stage 2 tune without upgraded plugs. Whether or not that's to be true, I'm not entirely sure. There's a lot of debate about that, but the vehicle's got about 42,000 miles on it, so I figured it was time to throw some new plugs in it anyway. So we've got some new plugs coming in. I'm going to be doing a installation video once they come in and be showing you guys kind of how to do that job, why I chose the plugs that I chose, and how they differ from stock, and what you can expect out of those. I don't have any kind of issues with the car. I am running a 93 octane tune right now, but there's no breakups, nothing like that. But just with 40,000 miles on the car, I want to be safe and make sure that everything is good to go with that. This car I just took on another mini road trip. So we've got the Harley going on road trips here, the Yamaha doing local stuff, GTI doing another road trip. We just did about a 300-mile one-day trip with this car, and it was fun. We went out to some curvy roads out west, kind of near Iowa in the Galena, Illinois area, and this car did an absolutely phenomenal job out there. Really fun to drive. We got to put it through its paces. Again, I'll throw another clip of the bugs that we had on this car in right here. And it was just a really fun time. Again, having stuff that you enjoy to ride, enjoy to drive, makes everything that much more enjoyable. Like I said, this car's EQT, equilibrium tuning, depending on how you do it. EQ Stage 2 tuned. We've got the downpipe on the vehicle. We're going to be doing an intercooler. That is not ordered yet, but we got the plugs coming, and then, stock of the rest of the exhaust besides the downpipe there. This car is a DSG, not a 6-speed manual, so no clutch or nothing to worry about that there. Autobahn trim level, and the car has been completely reliable for me in the year and a few months that I've owned it. No issues whatsoever. I've got the car coated in the power lock with the bead maker on top of it right now. Not sure if I can get it to do justice in the camera here, but car's looking really, really good. I think there's too much of different color lighting in here to give you a good idea of what that looks like. And there's some road grime on the car right now, but I don't know, it's pretty clean looking. I'm very, very happy with this and how it's turning out so far. And that's pretty much going to wrap it up for this one. I just kind of want to give you guys a little bit of a garage update here to my fleet as far as what's been going on, what's been modified, where we stand, and what's to be done in the future here. We are going to be having some more Harley build videos. I'd like to be adding some performance in that. And then the GTI, like I mentioned, we've got the plugs coming for that. We're going to be doing an intercooler on that just because it is a warm summer here in Illinois so far. We've been seeing temps in the high 80s. We're going to be seeing temps in the 90s, so I want to make sure that everything is covered with that. If you guys have any questions or want to see anything in particular in any of my vehicles, please let me know down below. I'll be sure to answer those questions for you, or if you have any video requests, also let me know. Andre and I have been working on a motovlogging setup, so we've got GoPros, we've got mics, we've got everything in the helmets wired up. We are going to be testing and playing around with that. So expect some motovlog footage finally. I'm really, really excited to get into that. I've been watching a lot of motovlog channels, and I can't wait to give my hand at it. So expect some motovlogging stuff in the future. Other than that, though, it's Mike from the Focus Garage signing off. I'll catch you guys in the next video.